Hey everyone, Rachel here. I'm an oracle, spiritual healer, and teacher of metaphysics and physical things too, like yoga and dance, although I'm not teaching any dance now. But I have a lot of different things in my toolbox, all of which I sort of pull from. I meant to do a post today about the new moon, but it just wasn't meant to be. So here I am on the new moon, wanting to look at some new things I don't typically look at, and looking at them in a different way. I do want to say I'm sort of thinking about how I want to move forward. I had a friend pass away just last week, who was a mentor of mine as well, and she was a sidereal astrologist, and I relied on her a lot for understanding the stars and our relationship to them, and what they represent, and all of that. So I'm sort of just sitting with it and processing it. I had so much still to learn and so many questions I still had. So, and I had been posting a lot of videos about, the full moon, new moon, in the celestial ways. And I might still do that. I just don't know yet. But today I'm going to sort of turn it more political. Just because I'm just feeling called to do that. And with that being said, I have to put this up for the YouTube censors for entertainment purposes only, because this is a oracle reading. And before I get into it, please consider liking the video, subscribing. It helps the channel go further and promote this work, and looking at things in an intuitive way and not just always a logical way, right? Both are needed. Both are absolutely needed to be healthy and balanced. But so much of our world and how we're conditioned is to look at things in a very rational way. If it doesn't make sense rationally, then it just, we're taught that, well, then that just can't be what it is, right? So what I would like to look at first is what's going on with these Epstein files. And I'm not so curious about what's in the files. And sorry for the noise, I'm just shuffling. I'm more curious about looking at it from a bigger picture. I did one video sort of looking at what was happening with P. Diddy in the lower district court of Manhattan. And, energetically bigger picture what was going on around that with the masculine and the feminine. For a long time now, we've been through this, or been going through a process for the masculine and the old structures, the structures that haven't been helpful for many people, but for very few have been slowly coming down. The masculine is being asked to heal. At the same time, the feminine is being asked to heal and becoming empowered, finding her voice again, finding her purpose again, healing her own masculine within, right? So we each have feminine and masculine in us. And so all of it is trying to be healed. What it looks like from the view of society is our government, the government structures, right? That's all a sort of masculine energy. So masculine is structure, it's systems, it's processes, it's strategy. All that are characteristics of masculine energy. So then there's the distorted or unhealthy aspects, and then the healthy aspects. And so what we're really seeing with the whole Epstein files, the P. Diddy case, is, everything coming from underneath the surface, right? That's that feminine, things being hidden. It's the moon, right? And everything is being revealed. Not as quick enough as I would like, and I'm sure other people as well, but it's happening. So I just want to take a look at that, and I'm going to use the a spread, and I don't usually use a spread, especially when I do these videos. But today I'm going to use a Celtic cross. And if you're not familiar with that, I'm just going to walk through what each card is going to represent. So this first card that I'm pulling from this deck, I call it my Sedona deck. And I can't remember the name of it, but it's from an artist who lives in Sedona. It's a 64 card deck, which is partially why I like to use it, because it's very full. It's a shamanic deck. So it looks at the light and the dark, right? It's not all just positive. It's a myriad of energy representations in here. So the first card I'm going to pull is the heart of the matter. So we're just looking at the bigger picture of what the Epstein files is representing, the impact it will have. Oh, here we go. Activation. So perfect. So that's the heart of it. The activation is that the whole scenario, the files, everything that happened leading up to this point, these files, right? The story of it, the information, everything that happened is being used as this sort of activation to get things to move, right? It's activating for people individually. It's this thing that at least Americans all of a sudden really care about regarding, who's in office and the government and the people who are in control, right? The whole draining of the swamp has now led to, the revealing of the swamp monsters, right? And there's more than one swamp monster. But that's another topic. So this whole thing is sort of activating everything, getting people interested, waking people up. Curious about what is happening, and it's not going to sort of go away either. It's going to continue, because this is like the thing that's going to ripple into other things being uncovered, more curiosity. Well, what else is there, sort of thing. I'm going to put this up again. For entertainment purposes only, right? I'm just looking at the energy. It could shift. It's just some cards. Here we go. So the next card I'm going to pull is sort of the energy that's helping or restricting that from taking place. So that the light would be sort of helping the activation. The dark would be the restricting, what's sort of keeping that activation from happening. The guardians. So that means help. That means we're getting help with all of this being uncovered, with this activation process happening. So there is this, spiritual guidance there. There's the spiritual protection. It's being guarded spiritually, because this needs to be uncovered. This activation point, this activation button is going to help more things unravel so that they can be put together again in a better way. So the next card I'm going to pull is the third card. It's the root card. So you can think of this as, I like to think of it as like the root of the matter. It can also be sort of like what's underneath our belt, like what we already have going on. Abundance. Abundance, they're saying this is abundance of information. All the information's there. It's abundance of information. It's actually an abundance of people who do know what happened, that do know what took place. We need to listen to those people. More people are going to come forward with more information. Excuse me. So it's abundance. It's it's like right there at the fingertips, and there are people that are just suppressing the information, holding it back, not wanting it to come forward because it's going to be incriminating information, right? It's going to sort of, in their minds, sort of ruin them, right? But it's actually bringing justice and truth in. So abundance of information of people who actually do know what happened, what's going on. Okay, so fourth card in the recent past, or in the past, I should say. Goddess of water. Let me ask them what that's about. Things getting clear. So what happened is things getting clear, like, oh, we need to look at this. There's clarity, people having clarity around this is an important topic. There's something more here. And again, it's not necessarily about it being, a pedophile and sex trafficking, but it's the bigger picture of, well, if this is going on, what else is going on? What else do we not know? What else is being covered up? So it's the clarity. The water is the clearing. It's like a clarifying element. So it's people getting clarity around that they should continue to sort of push for this to become more clear, to be exposed. The card on top is what's hanging over the core issue. So let's see what that is. Surrender. Ooh, okay. That's a few things. The people who are trying to control the scenario, the dialogue, the communication, they need to surrender. They need to let go because they're making it worse. The denying, the trying to cover up, it's all making it worse. It's really about like the denying, not coming to terms, not taking any, like not being held accountable, like for them, like to themselves, not taking any responsibility. They need to surrender. And the longer they sort of keep trying to control, the worse it's going to get for them. The other thing that card is symbolizing, that it's almost like this, like that they can't make it go away, that there's nothing they can do that would prevent the information from coming forward. Now, the timeline on the information coming forward and all this sort of, again, the activation taking place, shifting and changing everything, because this does feel like it's the big sort of button that needs to be pressed for everything else to sort of really shift here in the US. So it's almost like we need to surrender. Not that we need to stop talking about it, but it's like it's going to happen. There's nothing that's going to keep it back from, from holding it back from coming forward. So in the near future, it's our next card, in the near future. Love. What's that about? Let me see. I'm not sure what that's about. That's very unclear to me. Okay, one more second. Oh, this is sort of a funny card for, well, I mean, in some ways, it's sort of a funny card for what they're telling me. That this is all being done in love, the healing, right? Everything being exposed and bringing truth brings healing, and healing is love. And so all of this is happening for our betterment. And so in the near future, people coming forward to help heal and clear this up. That's what that's about. People not being afraid, not letting fear sort of take over their decisions, like victims or people who feels like victims or people who are privy to what was happening, but them choosing love over their fear. That's what that's about. Yeah. Okay. Internally, what's happening? And this would be like internally within the government. Devotion. There you go. They're devoted to the person, at the highest seat. And that devotion is sort of clouding their judgment. So that's internally what's happening in the government. So they're just staying devoted to that person, to their cause, to their agenda. Yeah, some of them still have time to fix things for themselves, even just karmically. But it's a slippery slope, I'll say that. Externally, what's taking place? Truth. We can't run away from it, right? It's gonna come out. It's time. There's no more. There's just no. The lies can't exist anymore. It's just that's the direction we're heading into. Yeah. Okay. Hopes and fears around this matter. Breakthrough. So this is on both sides. If you're in the upper echelons of our government and you're in that devotion to that single agenda, you're fearful of this. If you want the information and you want things to move in a different direction, you're hopeful for this, right? So it's actually speaking to both. Everyone's hopes and fears right now. We need a breakthrough. We need a change. We need to shift it up. So final outcome of this activation of those files. Integration. So when that truth comes out, and when everything gets activated, it's all the information is going to make sense. It's like it's just all going to start to integrate in our systems. Again, bring in more clarity, make a lot of sense, help us to move forward. They want another card around final outcome. An awakening. Yeah, we just wake up more. All right, that more clarity, things making sense, for us to move forward, to make different decisions, have more integrity around our values. That's a big part of this too. All right, I'm going to show this again. I don't really know how the YouTube censors work, but I don't want to get pinged. So I'm just going to keep showing that this is for entertainment purposes only. Obviously, it's for spiritual purposes because that's what we do here. But, how it turns out, we shall see. This is the energy for today, the new moon in what month? July. So again, consider liking, subscribing to this channel, and I'll see you all soon.